Hi everyone, it's Sherry, and today I'm going to be doing a little DIY watercolor card for you. I'm using some Arches cold press paper, and I'm using a number 12 silver brush, and I'm also using my Mission Gold watercolors. So basically, what I'm doing here is I'm just picking up a little bit of the yellow, and I am going to be coloring a flower center with the yellow, and then I'm going to go back into I think it's brown matter is the name of the color, and I'm going to pick up just a little bit of that color, and I am going to dab it into the yellow while the area is still wet, and that way it will allow the colors to blend a little. So I'm going to dab in that color, and every time you see me reach across, I'm actually cleaning off my brush. And now I have some of the opera pink and the rose madder. And essentially what I'm doing here is I'm loading the brush up with a lot of pigment and a lot of water, and I'm bringing my brush to the paper, and I'm setting the tip down and then just mashing down on the brush. You can see here what happens if you don't have enough water. You can also go in and just set your tip down and then drag, which is what I did with the last two petals and this one as well. And you can really come in from either way. So I'm going back to my first two petals because I didn't like the way they turned out, and go in from the opposite direction. So you can see here that I've added a couple more flower centers because I'm going to put 3 flowers on the card. And now I'm coming in with a little bit of a darker color, and this is red violet, while these petals are still wet, and just dropping in a little bit of color and letting it flow. And now I have all 3 flowers done, and I'm going to grab some sap green, yellow ochre, and hooker's green, and again loading that brush up with a lot of water and pigment, and I'm going to draw in my stems just using the very tip of the brush. And then I'm going to go grab a little bit of Prussian blue and just drop that in here and there, just to give a little variation in color. And I'm going to go ahead and draw all 3 stems very similar. Drop in a little bit of that darker color, and then we will move on to the leaves. And the leaves are basically done in the same manner as the petals. So I'm going to go in and grab a little bit more paint, a little bit more water, and then I'm loading my brush up, and then I'm going to take the very tip and just pull out from the stem, mash my brush, and pull. And then I can go back in and just gently drop in a little bit more color. This is very organic. You get all types of shapes depending on the way that you put your brush down on the paper and mash and pull. So here we get a similar leaf, but going in a different direction, if you will. And then I'm going to do one more up on that taller flower, just a small leaf. Add a little bit more color, and then I'm going to set this aside to dry, because now we're going to come in and we're going to do a little bit of inking with a black pen. This is just a Project Life pen that I had in my little cart beside me. And this is just very whimsical. All I'm doing is going around the outer perimeter of the petals, the center, and then I will also do the same to the stem and the leaves. And as soon as I get everything outlined, I can go in and add a few details. And here I will show you in the leaf, just kind of adding a little sketchy vein there in the center. And I'm going to add some black dots there in the center, and then just a few little bits of sketchiness in the flower petals. I do apologize for the light. It did change on me midday. So here I have an old script stamp from Hero Arts, and I'm going to just randomly ink it up with a little bit of antique linen distress ink, and stamp that down for a background. And I'm stamping right over my flowers. And that's pretty much done. So I'm going to take it to my Big Shot, use the basic rectangle die, and the stamp set that I'm using for my sentiment is Inside and Out Sayings by Simon Says Stamp. So I'm going to prep some black cardstock with the powder tool, and I'm going to stamp the sentiment onto the black cardstock and use some white embossing powder. And then I will take that over to my trimmer and just trim off a strip. So I'm going to clean off the powder now that I've got it cut. Decide where I'm going to put it on my card. And I have also covered the back of my watercolor panel with some foam tape. Get this lined up where I want it to go. And then I will just trim off the edges. So this is a fun little technique that I decided to use. I just didn't have anything at the moment that inspired me, so I thought, why not? And you can do these in different colors. As a matter of fact, at the end of the video, I will show you one that I did in yellow, and I did use some Strathmore watercolor paper, and the watercolor and the technique will be a little different depending on the type watercolor paper that you use. And then I've picked out some droplets from Pretty Pink Posh, and I'm going to put a scattering of those across the front of the card, a few on the petals, a couple on the leaves, and then one large one down there on the sentiment. Just using some glossy accents to adhere those. It looks a little cloudy, but will dry clear. And that's pretty much my card for today. As always, thanks for joining, and I will see you again soon. Bye now.